You have to play golf to get better at it. That consistency of just going out there, being out on the golf course is so crucial because you have to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation, which is what 75 Hard's all about. It's uncomfortable to go out and play with people. It's uncomfortable to play with people you don't know. It's uncomfortable to, play with people that are better than you, but you have to put yourself out there and actually experience it so you get more comfortable doing it.
Next up on the number one tee.
Okay, Justin Klemballa is back. Hi, Justin.
Hi, Tori. So excited to be here.
I have to be honest. I almost said no video today because I ran out of, I'm in my pajamas, everyone. I'm in like my second set of pajamas. I have something I sleep in, but then when I get out of bed, like you transition into comfy clothes. Yeah. I don't know if this is what you do. So I'm in my like second set of pajamas for the day. And Justin texts me about 12 minutes ago and he goes, I'm here, but there's no one here. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I just, oh my God, I totally fluked. I'm not sure what's going on with my brain lately. We're going to call it golf fog because I just got off of a 2-day President's Cup stroke play tournament. So that's what we're going to blame it on, Justin.
That's what happens sometimes.
But then Justin came in and said, you know what? I am feeling motivated for my new morning routine. And I said, that is what I need to hear about. So what is going on? Absolutely.
So I came across this. I went to a teaching and coaching summit in Pinehurst, which was like a trip of a lifetime. I know you went there. Was it with the Creek Cup that you went to Pinehurst?
Yeah.
So amazing. Yeah, Pinehurst was just unbelievable. I mean, such an amazing experience going there. But I went there for a teaching and coaching summit hosted by the PJ Magazine. And somebody asked me, what was your biggest takeaway from that? And I chatted with another golf pro who introduced me to a program called 75 Hard. Have you heard about this?
Oh, yeah.
By Andy Frisella?
Well, I don't. Okay. Yes. Andy made it up. I just, it's all over.
It's all over the socials. But when I've talked to like the layman person about it, they're like, oh yeah, I've done 75 Hard.
Really?
And I asked them like, oh, so you drank like a gallon of water every day? And they're like, oh, I didn't do that. I'm like, so like, I think a lot of people are like doing their version of 75 Hard,
which is totally fine.
I'm doing 100% 75 Hard.
You are?
Yeah. I'm day 16. I started cliche, but on January 1st was my first day of doing it. So
who cares?
The things that you have to do every day is you have to do 2 45-minute workouts a day. So I was up this morning, did a 45-minute workout.
Wait, slow down. What'd you do?
I'm currently right now just doing walking. So I'm just walking because I'm getting ready for a big, like a hike that's going to be happening in June. This program this other challenge I'm doing with my wife called 29029, which is another very
We're going to talk about that too. But okay, sorry, keep going. So what else do you have to do for 75 Hard?
So 2 45-minute workouts. One of them has to be outdoors and they have to be separated. So you can't do 90 minutes in a row. So you have to do 45 minutes at one time in your day. And then you have to figure it out some other time in your day.
Now that's interesting because when I've dabbled, when I have put a toe into 75 Hard thinking I was going to do it, I would always say to myself, okay, if I walk 18 holes, that's it. I'm done. Like workouts are complete.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. That's a nice little caveat. They have to be separated.
The second thing is you have to drink a gallon of water. Okay. So you have to just drinking a lot of water right now. Third thing is that you have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. So it has to be a book that's growing your knowledge base. It can't be like Harry Potter or anything like that. It can't be fun fiction. It has to be like something that you're growing your brain and learning to do something new. And then you have to pick a diet and you have to stick to it to the T. Okay. No cheat meals, no cheap bites. You can't have a bite of a cookie and be like it has to be 100%.
Yeah. Cause honestly, we know what happens after a bite of cookie.
Yes.
We take another bite.
To another one. Yeah. It leads to another one. So the whole, and you also have to take a daily picture. Okay. So you have to take a picture of yourself every single day. He says, if you miss any of these things, take a bite of a cookie, do 42 minutes of a workout instead of 45, read 9 pages of it instead of 10 pages, drink 3 ounces less than a gallon, you have to start over from day one. So you have to be 100% or you have to start over.
Okay. So let me ask you a couple questions. Is your wife doing this with you?
She is not.
Wow.
I had her listen to it and she just wasn't up for doing it. So I'm doing it on my own. She's doing a couple of things, I think, but I just love challenges like these types of things. Too. So I just like get it into me and I go for it.
Justin, you and I are the same person. Now my wheels are turning. I'm like, well, obviously I need to start it now too. No.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what diet did you pick?
I've done keto diet in the past, so I'm doing keto.
Yeah. And is it very strict keto, or are you having like a little bit of like, I don't know. Keto seems really hard.
I'm a very big creature of habit, so I love to eat the same thing every single day.
Tell us a couple things that you eat.
I eat 6 eggs every morning. So
Okay.
I make 6 eggs in the morning. For lunch, I'll eat like cold cuts and cheese. And then for dinner, I'll have cheeseburgers with mustard and like ranch on top. So
delicious.
But obviously no bun, because, you have to avoid the carbohydrates and all that type of stuff.
And you feel full throughout the day.
I eat quite a bit. I mean, the yesterday during lunch, one of the fitness guys at Paradise Valley was down there, and he saw my plate, and I mean, I loaded it with roast beef. I mean, it was just like a big pile of roast beef and cheese. And he's like, "Wow, a lot of protein." And I said, "Well, I'm hungry because I'm working out twice a day, right? So I have to get the energy. And on top of that, I'm working, right? And in my job, I'm on my feet a lot. I've been doing a lot of on-course coaching lately. So I'm out there walking around on the golf course. So I'm not just sitting in my chair. So I'm active. And then also on top of it, doing 2 45-minute walks. So I'm just walking right now, because in the past, when I've tried to say, all right, I'm New Year's, I'm going to work out, this is what I'm going to do, I go like really hard in the first 2 to 3. My muscles are incredibly sore, and I just like can't do anything, and then I give up.
Yeah. And you get really hungry when you start lifting heavy weights.
So my goal is just to make it a habit that I am working out 45 minutes each day. If I can instill that habit, I can fill that 45 minutes with any other workout later down the road if I'm starting to feel a little bit more energized, a little stronger, if I want to do some changes. But the habit is that I want to be able to work out every day. I've always wanted to read every day. I've never had the discipline to do that. And then eat really good food. I heard once before that our bodies are like, if we had to go out and buy $100,000 car, and it was like the nicest car in the whole wide world, we would put the best gas in it. We'd put the best oil in it. We would like polish it up. We'd put this big cover on it at night, and when, like when the kids went by it, we'd be like, hey, don't, no water near the car or anything like that. If we had to put a price tag on our own bodies, like what would we pay for our own life? It'd probably be way more than 100. We'd give up everything to survive our own life. And the food we put in our body is the fuel that we give it to ourselves. And there's a lot of traps out there with bad things like sugary stuff and all that type of stuff that really lure you down a way of getting into stuff. Oh, and one other thing about this too, 0 alcohol. I've always been no alcohol since like 2017, but like this is like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Most people don't unless I bring it up, but
just personal preference.
Just decided it wasn't a really great thing. And it was actually during a time that I wanted to lose weight. So I just figured taking alcohol out of my life was great. And when I realized I took the alcohol out, I was like, I'm not really missing anything. Yeah. Like, I can still go out. I can stay up late. I can hang out with people. They can all drink, but I'm just not drinking. Yeah. It saved my wallet. It's expensive to drink, and I still have a ton of fun even without it. Right. So it's like, so anyways, that's another thing about it. But I just love the disciplines of these habits, because you can build great habits. And I was just thinking about this the other day too, is that when I moved into my new house, I have these like glass around my shower. And I had always heard that like, if you squeegee it every day, like you'll get rid of these like water stains or anything like that. So I like at the end of my shower, I always take the squeegee and I squeegee the glass. It's not convenient. I don't like doing it, but it's just something that I started doing. Here I am 3 years later now that I've lived in the house. I squeegee the glass every single day. If I ever get out and I don't squeegee the glass, it feels so wrong that so it means that
it's like making your bed.
Right. Exactly right. So you can build habits that are not convenient, because that's a reason why a lot of people don't build good habits, is that because it's just not convenient. Yes, in the beginning, it's not convenient, but once you set the habit, You're just used to doing it. It's still inconvenient. Now it's a habit. It's almost like you enjoy doing it. Brushing our teeth every day. That's something it's not convenient to do that, but we just do it because it's a habit that was instilled in us. So I'm realizing that you can build the habits that you want. And then the compounding effect of these great habits are unbelievable, which is leading me a little bit into you can build great habits in golf practice.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that, but you talking about the car and like buying an expensive car and you would take care of it. That reminds me of a documentary on Netflix that I watched recently, and it's called something like How Not to Die or Live Forever, something like that. It's new, and it's just an 1.5 hour docuseries about this guy who wants to live forever. Like he wants to do everything in his power to live as long as possible. And he's a tech guy who has a lot of money. So he has the freedom to do this and really dedicate his life to it. So in this series or in this show, you see like this ginormous list of things he does every single day to help extend his lifespan.
Yep.
And first of all, I'm thinking, well, hopefully I don't get hit by a car. But anyway, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so let's say he does 300 things a day. Literally, it's like crazy. And I probably do like 5 of them. You know, it's like there's so many things you can do, different things you can do to like live a better life. And
absolutely,
you know,
and the compounding effect of these good habits. I've been saying this to a lot of my students because I compare a lot of like the stuff that I'm doing right now, which is just to build a better life. You could do the same thing in just practicing as well. But basically, you know, I've been actually challenging my students to find 30 minutes every single day to practice. So every single day, just find 30 minutes. If it was important to you and you really want to get better at golf, you can find 30 minutes in your day to go do a putting drill, to go in a bunker. You can find 30 minutes every day. It's not the craziest thing in the world to do 30 minutes of practice every single day. Because I love the every single day thing. Because if it's every single day, it's so much easier to set the habit. If it's like 3 days a week, you know, it's easy to slip that to 2 days a week. And then it's easy to slip that to 1 day a week. If you're saying, I'm going to do this every single day, I'm going to find 30 minutes, the compounding effect is amazing. And this comes from a book called The Slight Edge, which I don't know if I've talked about on this podcast before. Have we talked about it?
Possibly, but it's an amazing book.
You have read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those books that I've actually read the entire thing. I haven't stopped like halfway through.
Yep. And I use the analogy. There's a story in there about a wise man trying to teach a younger man the power of investing. And he says, I have 2 options for you. I can give you either $1 million check, or I can give you a penny that doubles in value every single day for only 31 days. And then it stops doubling in value. Which one do you want to take? Now, the younger man says, you know what? I can see where this lesson is going. I'm going to go with the penny. So they start doing the math, and they go on day 1, it's 1 penny. On day 2, it's 2 pennies, then 4 pennies, then 8 pennies, then 16 pennies. At the end of 7 days, it turns into 64 cents. So almost a quarter of the way through. And he says to him, you only have 64 cents and we're a quarter of the way through. Are you sure you don't want the $1 million check? He says, no, I'm going to stick with it. He said, okay. Another 7 days go by and it ends up becoming $80. $80, $1 million check. We're almost halfway with 14 days into it. Are you sure you want to stick with where you are? He says, yes, I want to do that. Another 7 days go by. Day 21 turns into $10,000. Good amount of money, not $1 million. Yeah. You still want to do it? Yes. You do the math all the way to 31 days, it becomes 10,700,000. So that penny turns into that. And it basically explains what compounding interest does for investing. It's the same thing with good habits. And what happens is that I'll have a student that says, okay, I am motivated by this. I'm going to go practice my putting 30 minutes a day, every single day. And I will start with a week. At the end of the 7 days, your putting talent and skill has grown by 64 cents. It's not that much. 64 cents of skill. You're going to be like, this isn't really worth it. I'm going to quit, which is what most people do. But if you keep doing it, at the end of 2 weeks, it becomes $80 a skill. Well, it's better But you know what I mean? So it's the same thing where it can start to compound and grow. And that's what I learned a lot from the 75 hard thing. Because I've now read the book because I've been reading 10 pages a day for 16 days. I just finished the 75 hard book. So I now know it like really well. I'm about to go into my next book. But basically he has something in there is that the key to success is in the boring stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not these exciting moments that we think that they are. Like he talks about like when you watch like the movie Rocky and he's getting prepared to go beat, the Russian at the end of the movie. They show him working on his skills, but it's very short little moments where he's climbing a mountain for about 5 to 10 seconds. Then they pan to him in the weight room and he's like, going crazy on the weights for 5 to 10 seconds. Then he's up on, a mountain, climbing up the mountain. Then he's drinking the raw eggs. And then he's like at the end of the scene, he's at the top of the mountain. He's making some, fist pump to the sky. It's a very motivating scene. It's like, oh, wow, that seems so amazing. And we think when we start to work on our golf game, if we start to work on 75 hard or whatever, we think we're going to have these moments of just like, oh, I am getting better. I am getting better. You're not. There's going to be a lot of days that you don't actually think you're doing anything that much better, but it's just staying consistent with the really boring stuff that starts to turn into really amazing things. But it's the consistency and the discipline of doing this. And what he says is that if you finish the 75 days, yes, you'll look better. Yes, you'll feel better, all that type of stuff. But what you're building is mental toughness, being able to do things that you say that you want to do, but that your body tells you that you don't want to do. And you end up giving into that voice and saying, I'm just not going to do it today. No, we're going to be consistent.
And honestly, when I was practicing a lot and I was competing a lot, I would come across these, and I've said this before on the show, 5, 6, 7 foot putts that like I need to make, like like to place or to win or anything. Like I need to make the confidence that you have stepping up to a putt. And this could be 100-yard shot too, but that you can say to yourself very confidently, like I have put in the work.
Yes.
Your body knows what to do.
Yes.
Here's the line, step up to it, put a good stroke on it. You have this.
Yes.
Other than right now where I'm not practicing a lot and I step up to a putt and I'm more like wishing like, oh my God, I really hope this will go in. Yeah. I think this is the line. I think that this is the stroke I need.
Right.
Like that's a huge difference.
It is.
In confidence.
It is.
Do you have something in mind about how to turn this 75 hard program more into a golf? Like, do you have something in mind or do you want to like walk through it a little bit?
Yeah, I have a couple of pillars. So basically there's like 4 pillars of this 75 hard. Mm-hmm. I guess 5 if you count the daily picture.
So let's think of 5 things.
Yeah.
And again, like to me, 75 hard is extremely hard and uncomfortable.
Correct.
Like very few people can get through it for 75 days.
Right.
So to me, if we were to put this in a golf version, It needs to be the same way. Yep. It almost needs to be slightly unrealistic.
Right.
Because that's how 75 hard is to me.
Correct. It is where change happens.
Yeah.
Change happens when you are uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Change happens when you put yourself in positions that you don't want to be in. And if you can get mentally tough enough to decide, I'm going to do something different than what I've always wanted to do. And the golf business is chunk fold. I don't know how I said that right.
Chunk fold.
What am I thinking of?
Wait.
Chop fold. All right, we're going to skip
Listen, don't go to me for slogans and sayings.
It is filled with so many. If you buy this driver, you will hit it 30 yards further. You won't. I'm promising you now, you will not hit it 30 yards further.
No.
You won't.
Yeah.
The only people that hit it 30 yards further are the people that had a badly fit driver in their hands the first time. And then they finally went to a proper fitting and got a good driver in their hands and they went 30 yards further. It's not the new technology.
Yeah.
They finally got fit for a good driver when they had a horrible driver for them the first time. It's that gets them the 30 yards. So yes, if you've never been fit for a club, yes, go get fit.
Or if it's been years.
Yeah. Or if it's been years. I always say 5 to 10 years is like the gap window of when you should be getting new clubs. If you're getting them every year, you're not getting very much bang for your buck because there's no way the technology gets better than that. But that's a whole other subject. So I don't want to go down that road. But a lot of people are trying to look for that secret sauce, but it's doing good things for your game every single day. Pillar number 1 for my 75 hard. Okay. If I had to build it.
Again, it has to be uncomfortable, has to be.
And I think it's the most important. And it has a lot to do with what you were just talking about there, of that feeling you have over that 7-foot putt. And we sometimes have moments where we feel like, man, this thing's going in the hole no matter what. I just know it.
Yeah, I've been there.
And then we've had moments like, I have not made a putt all day and I don't know where this thing's going to go. That comes from daily habits of remembering great moments in your game versus remembering bad moments in our game. And most golfers out there remember the bad and remember all these moments, even on their best rounds. Let's just say they have a really, really great round. They'll always pinpoint one hole that's like, well, if I just didn't put it in the water on that one hole, it could have even been even better. But we just replayed that really bad moment when we hit the ball in the water. And when you are replaying these bad moments in your head, you are building up cortisol or stress or anxiety around your game and kind of coming to this moment that you feel like you're broken, where you should be looking for evidence of why you are so great. So basically, daily routine would be for you to lay your head on your pillow at night and play the round of golf in your head. And you can only replay the great shots that you hit that day. Or if it was practice, you're only going to replay those particular shots that you hit that day. That is so crucial to be able to do that. I don't know if I told this story about me playing in a tournament in July in Forest Highlands, then another one in August, and then another one in September. Did I tell it? And then I lay my head on my pillow. I play the 13.
Yes.
Okay. So I already told it. So
no,
but go back and listen to that story. But if you lay your head on your pillow and you remember all these great moments, a lot of people think that they're broken. I had a lesson with somebody yesterday who is a really good golfer, lady golfer. Actually, I was really honored that she came to come take a lesson from me. She's a PV member and she came to a lesson for me. And she said she's 67 years old and she's already shot her age this year. So she's very good. She's shot at 67 at age 67. I said, this is unbelievable. I love how great you are. We start the lesson and she has all these critiques about her golf swing. Because she's been taking lessons from somebody who is very, very technical about the golf swing. There's a lot of checkpoints where the club needs to be at every single point. Yada, yada, yada. So we pull up her swing on the video and she's looking at every single point. And she's like, oh yeah, the bells would be going off if I got into that position. Oh no, that's no good there. And I was like, all right, I guess. So I have her hit a couple of shots and she's thinking about all these things. And yeah, her driver's kind of going off the way wire and her swing speed's kind of low. And you can even see that she's swinging very steery. I said, how fast can you swing? So she swings one, just a practice swing. And it was a good loud swish at the bottom, but it could be louder. I think I was like, can you go any faster? And she swings really fast. I was like, holy crap. You just went from like gear 3 to gear 5. And I just so happened to film the one when she went to that next level, not thinking about any technical stuff, just swinging as fast as she could. We brought it up on film. All the things that she was worried about fixed itself just by swinging faster. Who swings fast in the game of golf? Really confident players. Who are really confident golfers in the game of golf? People that remember when they do great things. And we have a tendency to remember when we fly a driver out of bounds, or when we miss a 3-foot putt when we should have made it, or we leave a ball in a bunker, or we go to an island green and we dunk it into the water. We tend to remember those things, and that compounds over time. After a week of it, you get 64 cents of anxiety. If you do it for 2 weeks, you get an $80 of anxiety. But these people have been doing it for years. So they have millions and millions of dollars of anxiety in their brains.
Filed away.
Exactly right. So we can flip that around just by deciding what do we choose to remember on a daily basis, especially if you're practicing for 30 minutes, which would be part of my 75 hard is you're practicing every day. Doesn't have to be long. Give me 30 minutes every day.
Okay, 30 minutes every day. Sorry.
30 minutes of practice every day would be pillar 2. You have to practice 30 minutes. It can be before you're around. So if you're going to go play that day, just get there an hour early so you can do your half hour practice. But there has to be a half hour of practice every single day.
Yeah. And did you notice, everyone, that he said an hour beforehand just to practice for 30 minutes?
Yes.
Because warm up is different than practice.
100%. Yeah.
You
You would be doing a directed drill, which would be another part of this is that like your practice needs to change.
Yeah.
It can't be trying to find what's wrong with my swing, going a little bit into pillar 1 of this 75 hard. It is trying to convince yourself that you're great at this. That is the whole purpose of practice. I'm going to count how many 3-foot putts I can make in a row. If I made 7 in a row, leading up to hopefully 10 in a row, if I make 7 in a row and I missed the 8th one, I should be celebrating the fact that I made 7 in a row, not that I missed the 8th when I'm getting near my goal of 10, right? So I just made 7 in a row. I'm obviously a great putter.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with my stroke if I made 7 in a row and then missed the 8th. It's just the anxiety, the confidence went down as I got closer to my goal. How do we get rid of that? Remembering how great I was on the first 7 putts.
Yes.
And we can take that attitude into practice, but most people don't. They take the attitude of, I am currently broken. I need my swing analyzed. I need my putting stroke analyzed. There's something wrong in what I'm doing. There's been people that have come to me and said, I don't know what it is with my 7 iron. My 7 iron's all broken. You know, it has weird weighting in it. I need to get it reed shafted. Right? I'm like, what are you nuts? Like, there's no freaking way. A little small weighting is making you hit the ball so poorly. We're looking for these like reasons to be non-confident.
To change everything. Yeah. So, okay. So pillar number 1, think of the best golfer you can be all the time.
Look for the evidence that you have every single day. Every single day. If it's the worst round of golf you've ever played, I guarantee there's at least one hole you played okay.
Yes.
I guarantee it.
1,000,000%. Pillar number 2, practice 30 minutes a day, but that practice has to be structured. It has to be specific drills.
100%. Yeah. So that's a huge chapter just in that.
And a drill is not to be swing technique based.
Correct. Yeah. And
it's
I guess
rep based.
And I guess almost that would, because I'm making this up off the top of my head.
And which is fine. Everyone, we're making this up and I love it. I love it.
Is the third thing that I think would be really important, and I've kind of already touched on this a little bit, is that your focus has to be on the external, not on the internal. Have we talked about this at all? I don't.
Maybe, but I don't recall. So say it again.
So all the practice drills that we do, it's all focused on what can I do with my golf ball? Can my ball do what I want it to do? I don't want to know how to do it. I just want to get my club to do what I want it to do, or my ball to do what I want it to do. Here's my example, and I'll use an analogy. I have a 9-month-old at home and a 3-year-old at home, and my 9-month-old is currently learning how to eat, right? So we put food on the table. She's got a fork, and she's hitting the table like this all over the place. Can't find the banana or whatever, but she's just trial and error. And then all of a sudden she finally, let's just say there's a potato, and she gets the fork and she finally hits the potato with the fork. Ooh, great. And then she brings it up and she eats it. Then she tries again, and she's just constantly stabbing the table until it finally hits where she wants to do. If I had to explain to her, and this is funny because this is how golf instruction is sometimes taught. If I had to explain to her how Daddy eats a potato, I would look at myself and be like, what tips can I give this 9-month-old on how to eat? She can't understand any of this, but let's just say she has the cognitive ability for me to teach her how to eat. I would go and I would eat a potato and then bring it into my mouth. And I'd be like, oh, I see how I did it. I got my right shoulder a little bit in front of my left, my right arm extended. I internally rotated my shoulder and then my elbow pointed up towards the ceiling, which then got my fork at the perfect angle to hit the potato. Perfect. I'm going to teach my daughter how to eat the potato. So I'm going to get her right shoulder in front of her left. I'm going to get her to extend her arm. I'm going to internally rotate the shoulder, and then they'll be able to hit it. I just took something that we all do just fine, eating, and I made it the most complicated thing of all time, making her think internally, which means how do I get the fork to touch the potato versus just get the fork to touch the potato is externally, right? Because she's thinking of the fork touching the potato, and that's all she's thinking about. She doesn't know what her elbow's doing. She doesn't know what her shoulders are doing. And to be fair, all of us, when we go eat, we don't know what they're doing either. We're just thinking fork and touching the potato. That is how golf needs to be learned. We have to keep the focus on what do I want the club to do and the ball, and get the ball to go into the hole. Keep getting that to be great. And that's where all my practice drills that I typically give my students is all focused on, can I get the ball to do what I want it to do? How do I get the ball to do what I want it to do? Just stab the table until it finally hits the potato. Keep chipping until the chip goes into the circle. Keep putting until the ball goes into the hole. Once it does, bring your attention to that moment. Don't bring it to when you do it poorly. Once again, kind of going back to pillar one, I don't care how I did it wrong. I care why I did it right. Why am I so great at doing it so good? Right. And a lot of times when people play their best, they're not thinking about anything in their golf swing. They're thinking very externally. I'm trying to hit that ball to where I want it to go. The 7-footer, when we're really confident, I'm just seeing the ball going in the hole. I don't know if my putter is going back straight, going inside. I don't know. Is my pressure higher on my right hand or my left hand? I have no idea. Do I rock my shoulders? Am I wristy in my stroke? I have no idea. I'm just putting the ball in the hole. That's all I'm keeping my focus on.
Yeah. And something I think about, and this can maybe be a good example, is when I'm chipping, the only thing I think about is keep my hands light, keep the pressure light.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Because I know that helps me execute the chip better.
Absolutely.
And I've noticed in the past, if my grip strength is really tight, or if I'm really stiff, I'm not going to execute the chip well.
Right.
And I've noticed that throughout time just by practicing and noting what works well for me. So something as simple as that, like keep my grip strength and everything loose, ready to go when I do the chip.
Yeah.
I'm going to execute the chip. Now, it might not be right next to the hole every time, but at least it's not a skull,
right,
or a chunk or a miss.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay. On to pillar number 3. What should it be? Come on. We're going to think of 5 things right now.
I think this is another, I don't know if it's enough to be a pillar or not, but it's something that people have to understand. And it's an understanding that everyone needs to come into it with, and it'll help you with pillar 1 once again, is that accepting that the game of golf is just inconsistent. There's nothing you can do to make it consistent. And people think that there's an answer. People think if they get the right coach, if they get the right swing technique, if they get the right driver, I will then be consistent. It's never going to happen.
It's a myth. But how about this? Because I know this will go into play.
Yeah.
How about, because again, thinking of this tactically and something you can do, you have to play at least twice a week.
Oh, yes. How much you play.
And keep your stats.
How much you play. Absolutely.
Like, so you're practicing 30 minutes a day and you're playing at least twice a week while keeping stats.
That's such a great pillar. You have to play golf to get better at it. You have to play.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that just say like, there's a lot of students, I did a program called Operation 36 for a long time, and I still kind of do it, but it was really, really popular, like right around the COVID years. And I had hundreds of people in this program that had never played golf, never been on the golf course. And they'd like call me up before the signing up for it. They're like, Justin, I just want to let you know, I've never played before. I don't know if I'm ready for this game. You probably need better golfers. I said, no, if you've never been on the golf course before, this is exactly what you need to do. And people would get better through this program. I do think my coaching probably helped, but there is something to the consistency that they had to play once a week with me. They were playing every week. Like that consistency of just going out there, being out on the golf course is so crucial because you have to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation, which is what 75 Hard's all about. It's uncomfortable to go out and play with people. It's uncomfortable to play with people you don't know. It's uncomfortable to, play with people that are better than you, thinking that, oh, I might hold them up. You don't. Just FYI, you don't hold them up, but you have to put yourself out there and actually experience it so you get more comfortable doing it. I'm doing a junior program now at PV. We have 52 kids in it now. It's really cool. It's called the FedEx Cup, and I labeled it after the PGA Tour. But basically, once a month, we have a tournament, a real tournament with real scoreboards, real scorecards. On the first tee, they're like switching scorecards where they have to keep track of somebody else's score and their own score, which happens in a real tournament. And these are like 10-year-olds that they don't even keep track of the score. They give it to their dad and they do it. But I just want them to kind of experience it. And on that first tee, I announce their name so loud and I get a big clap from everybody. Now on the tee, Bobby Jones or whatever. Bobby Smith. Oh, big clap from everyone. Yes. Does that make him nervous? Absolutely. Is that the goal? Absolutely. Because I want him to be so nervous and get into that particular environment so he gets used to it. Right? My first few days of working out, 2 days of 45 minutes, that was freaking hard. It was really hard. Now, day 16, it's more kind of part of my routine. It's easier for me to find it, right? It's easier for me to calculate it into my day for me to do it. But in the beginning, I feel like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but I gush going every single day and just put myself into that uncomfortable situation and I figure it out.
Yeah. And there's got to be something said like, when you play consistently, if this pillar is to play twice a week, every week, you really start to understand that this game is inconsistent. Yeah. You accept it.
Yep.
And then when you're taking stats, you start to see like there's certain, I don't know, I do believe that there are certain things that you can really improve on your short game, putting, chipping, that help the inconsistencies become less.
So I love that we brought up stats.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking whether I would share this or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and share it.
Let's do it.
These stats right here are the best stats you can ever do. This is what I do with my own in-person students. I do this every single day. I have clinics this afternoon. I'm doing these particular stats. I think these 3 stats are the only 3 stats you need to keep. And they're so much more important. And I'm just going to go over them right now.
Let's hear it.
First stat is we need to keep track of how many shots it takes you to get inside of 100 yards. Do not keep track of how many greens you hit. It is a mistake, big mistake.
Okay.
And the reason why is it sets you up for failure. And the reason why is because a tour player on average hits 12 greens out of 18 greens. Now, if you had a guess of how many greens that a tour player has, most people guess on average, they're hitting 16 to 17 greens in regulation.
Absolutely.
They only hit 12.
Yeah.
If you're a tour player listening to this podcast and you're keeping track of your greens, when you hit 12 greens, you feel like really bad because you missed 6 greens. That's what you zero in on, right? You zero in on that.
But in hindsight, so just talking as an amateur.
Sure.
So these past 2 days I've played in a tournament, I hit 10 greens each time. And I actually felt good about that.
If a tour player is hitting 12.
Exactly. So just knowing like your expectations kind of get it. Okay,
100%.
Sorry, but okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about
that goes down to what's the average amount of greens you're hitting if you're a 0 handicap. So not a tour player, but if you're like a scratch golfer, you're one of the best players at your club, you're right around 9. Yeah. So 10 for you. Like I would say you're one of the best players at your club. So yeah, that makes sense. You're right around 9 on average. That doesn't mean you won't have a day that you hit 15 greens, but you might also have a day that you hit 6. You know what I mean? So it's like
those browns are extra crispy.
But yeah, when we hit 6 greens, it's deflating. Yeah. So I don't want greens to be a stat that people keep anymore. That would be a big, big thing. I want you to keep track of how many shots does it take you to get inside of 100 yards in regulation. That's what I care more about. Okay. Can you get inside of 100 yards in regulation? Not whether you hit the green. If your full swing is good enough to get you at least inside of 100 yards, in my book, your full swing is doing the job.
Like within 2 shots, you mean?
So for a par 4, it would be 2.
Okay.
On a par 3, it would be 1. And a par 5, it would be 3. So we're counting how many shots it takes you to get inside of 100 yards. And my goal for you is to get inside in regulation, just inside of 100 yards, not onto the green in regulation.
Love it.
Because that's how we keep greens in greens in regulation is being on the green in 2, for a par 4, a par 3 on the green in 1, and then for a par 5 on the green in 3. But now I've changed the standard to just inside of 100 yards.
Okay.
If you can get inside of 100 yards in regulation, that's stat number 1.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to keep track of, and that's what we want to see. Stat number 2, short game. Just keeping track of your short game. Short game is how many shots does it take you to get the ball on the green once you're inside of 100 yards? How many shots does it take? The expectation is 1. You have to get that ball on the green. I don't care what level of player you are. If you're inside of 100 yards, the ball needs to be on the green in 1. So if you have a 2 in that particular category where you had to chip twice, hit 2 bunker shots, whatever, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem that we need to fix.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you're inside of 100 yards, we need to be able to get on the green in 1. And that's the goal. The third stat is your putts. And we're looking for 2 putts all the time, right? So we're going to count how many putts you have. Your full swing. So let's say it takes you 2 shots to get inside of 100 yards on a par 4. And then your short game, let's say you chip it once onto the green, and then your putts, and let's say you 2 putt, that would be 2 plus 1 plus 2. That means you would have made a 5 for that particular hole. And basically what it does is it guarantees you to kind of make the bogey. Now, better players will have some greens in regulation in that round, right? So basically, if you're hitting 6 greens, I can do the math off the top of my head, you're going to shoot an 84. 84 should be kind of like the worst score that you should hit as a scratch, kind of a scratch golfer. But if you're hitting 10 greens, or let's say, 10 greens, that would be 9 over par. So you're now closer to 80. But here's the other thing that we need to be able to do, especially as you become a better player, like a scratch golfer, you need to have better up and downs. So what's an up and down? A 1 short game and a 1 putt is what we want to be able to see a lot more on the course. And the stats say if you average between 78 to 85, you're going to be getting up and down 50% of the time, 50, which is actually pretty good. So which allows you to be in the 78 to 85 range. If you are a person that wants to be more in the 70s almost every single time, or maybe even the low 70s, your up and down percentage should be 75%. And then if you're a tour player, you're up to 85%. So that's really why these tour players are shooting even par or even under par with only 12 greens in regulation, because for those 6 greens that they miss, they're getting it up and down.
Yeah, the short game is phenomenal.
100%.
And I almost feel like you see that more when you're at a golf tournament and watching them in person.
Yep.
Because you realize they're not hitting every green.
Yep.
Like you see that more in person. Okay, so let's move on to pillar number 4 because our time is a little short.
Yeah.
I would say there needs to be a pillar of some sort that is a 20 to 30 minute stretch and mobility.
Yeah,
routine.
kind of fitness. 100%.
Yeah, but it has to be very stretch and mobility heavy.
Yes.
Because I just feel like that is, especially with us, when you age, you get less, what's the word? Less
flexible.
It's gonna be like less stretchy, but I just think that's so important, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That could be a workout too.
Having some type of physical fitness in if you have a strong body, that's pretty crucial. I love the 10 pages a day because it's so easy to do.
Let's have that be number 5, because again, there's such a correlation between what's going on in your life and how you're playing golf.
Yes.
It's really quite scary. And I bet that could be for any sport that you are 100%. Competing in.
Yeah.
It's going to show up on the field.
10 pages a day. You could do 10 pages a day, especially when you're just getting started with this. I would say it has to be just mental books at the beginning. I don't want you to be deep diving into swing mechanical books, because there are some big swing mechanical books out there. I think a strong mental game, because it is pillar number 1 of growing your confidence every single time, reading 10 pages of a mental book is just so great. Dr. Bob Rotella's stuff is really great. Vision 54 stuff is fantastic, and there's some management books out there too, but I would just clear away from just not taking the deep dive down into the technical and all that type of stuff. And
again, you don't even have to limit it to golf centric. It can be anything that will improve your well-being.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. It all shows up on the course.
100%.
Okay, so wow, we just kind of finagled this. Okay, wait, so let's review. Pillar number 1. It was
positive self-talk about yourself every single day, about your golf game. It's remembering your great shots of every single day, because you are in this program, you are practicing every single day. So in that 30-minute practice, you have to go over and remember that those great shots that you hit. If you're playing that day, you're replaying the holes that you played really, really well that day. That is pillar number one.
And forget about the bad ones.
100%.
I was playing with someone that was really struggling. You know, one of those rounds that you just can't find any sort of swing, right? And you can just tell she's totally deflated. And I said to her at the end of the round, you forget this. Forget this round.
Totally.
It's not like nothing today is something to think about.
Right. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the compounding interest of growing confidence. So if
I know she's a good player. I know she can hit the ball. Right. And whether she's a 5 handicap or 25 handicap, like I know we're all better golfers.
Correct.
Than those terrible days.
And you have to have the comfort when you have those days that the best players in the world have those same days. So just consider yourself one of the best players in the world, because they also have horrible, horrible days. Just on that one quick note, Scotty Scheffler, sometime in June leading up to the US Open, they were bringing up some type of stat. I can't remember what they were studying, but basically they pulled up this stat basically showing how dominant he was in the game of golf. And they brought up Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus at 2 other different dates. That at these particular dates, Tiger was sometime in 2000, Jack, it might have been sometime in the 60s. But basically at this particular date, using this particular stat, they were the most dominant players of all time. And in June, Scotty Scheffler reached this level of dominance. This was going into the US Open at Pinehurst. What happened at Pinehurst? I believe he missed the cut. Like he
got arrested.
Oh no, that was PGA Championship.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. That was PGA Championship. Yeah. And then he gets arrested. So most dominant player in the world, orange jumpsuit.
And then he misses the cut at the US Open. Sorry.
Very, very dominant player. And then ends up at this point in time, he's the most third most dominant player of all time. And he misses the cut, right? It's
at a tournament that he wants to win.
He just came off winning the Masters. He just won the Masters going into the next US Open, most dominant player of all time. And he misses the cut. But his reaction to bad rounds should be studied, because he really does brush it off. He does, there was a video of him talking about his shank, and some media person's like, hey, why did you hit that shank? He's like, well, instead of hitting the ball there, I hit the ball here and it shanked. That's how I hit the shank.
Funniest thing. If you haven't seen that, you need to look it up.
It's so great.
Hilarious.
Because the media person wants to know some mechanical answer to this question. Oh yeah, because I got a little too steep, and I ended up, dragging the handle too much this way, yada, yada, yada. He's like, no. And what does that do? And when he's doing that, keeps the focus on the external. I hit the ball here instead of hitting here. Why'd you miss the potato? Well, I hit the fork here instead of hitting it into the potato. That's all it is. You don't need some magical mechanical answer to explain this. It's so important for people to stay there. That's a big, long explanation for pillar 1.
That's okay, though.
Pillar 2, 30 minutes a day of practice. Has to be very, very good drills that are more focused on the external. Pillar 3 was you have to play every single
twice a week.
I think you have to play twice a week. I agree with that 100%.
And I would say it can be 9 holes. I'll even go there, because I know that, schedules are hard and you want to make it at least possible. And tee times can sometimes be tough too. So 9 holes is okay.
How can you be getting better at something that you don't do?
And not play on the field.
I want to become a better golfer. Well, how much do you play? Well, once a month. What? What are you trying to get better at? If you're not even doing it, how do you get better at that?
Exactly.
I want to become a better runner. Oh yeah. How often do you run? Oh, I don't really run. Well, then how are you getting better at running?
I would say most golfers are very enthused to play. So that's like the easy part.
That should be the easy part. Yeah. So, if you're a golfer, this is anytime that I've asked people, you have to play twice a week. Most of the time they're like, oh, that's easy. But it's the practicing that's a little bit harder. But if you're somebody that's not playing, and then maybe keeping those stats, when you go to play, keep those stats. Remember those stats that I mentioned. They will help you so much more than any other type of stat system. Guaranteed. Because I've seen people improve immensely using them.
Number 4,
flexibility. Got to do something for your flexibility.
So I would say 20 to 30 minutes of a workout, or it can be as much as stretching and mobility routine. But at least
got to take care of your body.
Yep.
Got to take care of your body.
Absolutely.
100%. Every single day, you should be making a decision to take care of your body because we golf with our body.
Yeah.
Our body is there. So if it's well hydrated and well fed and it's being stretched and worked out every single day, well, then we're going to probably play better golf. If we're eating potato chips and we're sitting and watching TV and we're just, doing absolutely nothing, we're probably not going to play so much great golf.
Which I've been guilty of.
Which we all have.
And I would say, isn't the golf swing like the most complex athletic motion out there? It's like
especially
on the body.
Because you're bent over. But you know what's so funny? I think when people are swinging faster, like the lady that I was mentioning earlier, when she swings faster, there's actually less torque on your body. I think a lot of people are trying to swing correctly with all this tension. But when you swing faster, you actually have to relieve tension out of your body. You're letting everything go, which actually allows you to kind of take care of your body more when you just go for it versus being so tense to try to swing smooth and try to stay within these boundaries of all these swing planes and all that type of stuff. I think that actually puts more pressure onto your body when you're actually trying to swing slow and perfect, where when you're just letting the club go and you're not having any direction to it, actually, I think is sometimes a little bit easier. But you're right. It is a complex motion that requires your body to be in good health.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then the final pillar is 10 pages a day of a nonfiction book.
Of a nonfiction book. Yeah. But for golf, it would maybe be a golf book, but it can also not be a golf book. There's some great stuff about, it's different coaches in different sports that you can read. They can really reading books on champions and all that type of stuff. I think is great because, they do a lot of the pillar one. They really believe that they're getting to that next level. They believe, they ride that compounding interest of doing things that are growing their confidence every single day that eventually, they put their mind on that I'm going to win this championship and they just put it there and they go and do it.
Okay, so that's what we came up with. We just winged it, people. Yep. Okay, so we might perfect it. We don't know. We know Justin will be back.
Yes.
Because I am totally obsessed now with your journey with 75 Hard.
Yeah.
You've inspired me. Will I do it tomorrow? I don't know. Okay, it might be uninspired very quickly. You never know. But I have one thing from my President's Cup these past 2 days that I want to ask your advice for.
Please,
to close it up.
Yep.
Really quick. So I've noticed in my rounds lately, including these past 2 days, that once I get around to 16, 17, 18, my golf swing feel is really bad. It's like all of a sudden, I don't know, I can't, it just gets really hitchy, like all of a sudden towards the end. So I'm thinking because you're talking about swinging faster, I'm thinking maybe that could be the solution to take a couple swings a little bit faster.
Yeah. I think fast is always great. I think people should be swinging fast all the time because fast correlates with confidence.
Yeah.
Slow, smooth tempo, keep everything really, really careful. That's anxiety. I don't want to play with that. I gotta stay smooth. That is not confident.
Gotta be gentle.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, don't hit this too hard. It's so non-confident. It's like we should be just going for it.
And you know what? This has been Justin since the day I met him. Okay, so it's just perfect. It's yeah, of course. And honestly, I am someone that takes a very short practice swing, if it even is. I don't take full practice swings,
right?
For whatever reason. And so I'm thinking maybe towards the end of the round, I need to start taking a practice swing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just noticed that I've been tensing up more at the end.
Yeah. And when there's a lot of tension, there's usually not a loud swish. Then that's why I love when people are trying to learn how to swing faster. Listen to the swish that you're creating down at the bottom. And like I said, this lady I was working with yesterday, I said, no, get that switch to be louder. She all of a sudden had another gear that she could go to. We all have that next gear. Any person that you're out on the golf course with and they're saying, hey, you're just swinging a little too fast, they're lying. You're not swinging fast. I've never seen anybody swing fast. Now, sometimes people are like, well, they're getting quick from the top. Maybe that's true. But the focus needs to be down at the ball. I want that to be as fast as possible. Go for it. One of my favorite quotes of all time was from John Daly. And he says, swing hard just in case you hit it. So just in case you hit it perfect, swing hard and let it rip.
Wait, who says that?
John Daly.
Wait, swing hard just in case you hit it.
And it's a joke, you know.
My God, that is amazing.
Yeah, because just in case it works out, you might as well have done your best. And what is swinging your hard is? It's doing your best. What is your best golf swing? We might as well bring it just in case I hit it perfectly in the middle. That way it's that much better, right? You know, why not go all in on every single shot than giving 50% just in case it's bad?
Out of fear.
100%.
We need to end on that.
Love it.
Thanks, Justin. See you next time.
Thanks, Tori.